My manipulative mother-in-law threw my baby's ashes in the dumpster, forcing me to expose her decades-long lies and destroy her reputation forever. I'm 31F, and I never thought I'd be writing this. I'm still shaking with rage even though this all happened 2 months ago. But people keep telling me I should share my story because apparently my monster of a mother-in-law has been telling everyone her version, and I'm done staying quiet. My husband Alex and I lost our daughter Lily when she was 3 days old. She was born with a severe heart defect that the doctors didn't catch until after delivery. We had 3 beautiful days with her before she passed in my arms. It's been 8 months and the grief is still crushing. We had Lily cremated and kept her ashes in a beautiful urn in our living room. It brought me comfort to have her there. I'd talk to her every morning, tell her about my day. Alex was supportive, but handled his grief differently. He preferred not to talk about it as much. I respected that. Everyone grieves their own way. My mother-in-law Karen has always been difficult. She's one of those women who thinks no one is good enough for her son. When Alex and I got engaged 7 years ago, she cried at dinner and said she was losing her baby. Lady, he was 26 years old. But Alex has always been close to his mom, so I tried to get along with her for his sake. After Lily died, Karen got weird. She kept saying things like, "It's probably for the best, and you're both so young, you'll have other children." She said this at Lily's memorial service. I was too destroyed to even respond. Alex told her that was inappropriate, but she just said she was being practical. About 3 months ago, Karen started pushing us to move on. She'd come over and suggest we redecorate the nursery, said keeping Lily's ashes in the living room was morbid, told me I needed to stop dwelling on what happened. I started avoiding her calls. Then 2 months ago, Alex and I went away for a long weekend. It was our first trip since Lily died, and honestly, we needed it. We were both drowning and thought maybe a change of scenery would help. Karen had a key to our house because she used to water our plants when we traveled. I forgot to ask for it back after Lily died. That was my mistake. We came home Sunday evening and I immediately knew something was wrong. The house felt different. I went to the living room and Lily's urn was gone. I started panicking, searching everywhere. Alex was calling for his mom, asking where she'd put it, thinking maybe she'd moved it. Then I saw it. On the kitchen counter was a note in Karen's handwriting. "I did this for your own good. You need to move forward with your lives. Keeping her ashes was preventing you from healing. I've helped you take the first step. Love, Mom." I started screaming. Alex called his mother immediately. She answered cheerfully and said yes, she'd come by to tidy up while we were gone. Alex demanded to know where Lily's ashes were. She said she'd thrown them away. Thrown them in our dumpster because we needed to let go. I grabbed the phone from Alex and absolutely lost it on her. I was yelling, crying, demanding she tell me exactly when she'd done this. She said she'd come by Friday morning, 2 days earlier. Our trash had been collected Friday afternoon. Our daughter's ashes were gone, in a landfill somewhere, because Karen decided she knew what was best for us. Alex was in shock. He just kept saying, "Mom, what did you do?" over and over. Karen started getting defensive, saying we'd thank her later, that she was helping us, that we were being dramatic. I told Alex to call the police. He hesitated. I think he was still processing. So I called them myself. I reported the theft and destruction of remains. Karen was still on Alex's phone saying I was being hysterical and making a huge mistake. The police came and took our statement. They said this was a complicated situation since Karen had a key and permission to be in our home, but that the destruction of human remains was a serious matter. They said they'd investigate. Karen showed up at our house an hour after the police left. She let herself in with her key, which I immediately took from her, and started yelling at me. Said I was turning her son against her, that I was being vindictive, that she was only trying to help. She said keeping ashes in the house was creepy and unhealthy and she'd done us a favor. Alex finally found his voice and told her to leave. She looked shocked. She said, "Alex, honey, you understand, don't you? I did this for you." He told her what she'd done was unforgivable and to get out of our house. She left crying, but not before saying I'd regret this and that I'd poisoned her son against her. The next few days were hell. Karen called and texted constantly. Alex's phone, my phone, both. She alternated between apologizing and saying we were overreacting. She said she'd replace the urn with a nice photo album. A photo album. Like that was equivalent to our daughter's remains. Alex's extended family started calling. Karen had told them her version, that we were keeping a creepy shrine, that she'd gently suggested we move the urn to the bedroom for privacy, and that I'd called the police on her for trying to help. Half the family was calling us to say we were being too harsh. The other half was asking what actually happened. I was done. I'd been tolerating Karen's manipulation and boundary stomping for 7 years. I'd stayed quiet when she criticized my cooking, my career, my family, everything about me. I'd smiled through her passive-aggressive comments about how Alex could have married a doctor or a lawyer. I'd kept my mouth shut for Alex's sake. But she threw my baby away, and now she was lying about it to make herself the victim. So I burned her life down. I started with Alex's family. I sent a group email with the actual facts that Karen had entered our home without permission while we were away, taken our daughter's ashes, and thrown them in the trash. That we discovered this when we came home and found a note from her saying she'd done it for our own good. I attached a photo of her note. The family group chat exploded. Alex's aunt said this couldn't be real. His uncle said if it was true, Karen needed serious help. His grandmother said she was horrified. Karen responded in the group chat saying I'd manipulated the situation and taken her note out of context. So I posted the full text message exchange from the night we found out, where she explicitly said she'd thrown the ashes in the dumpster and that we needed to get over it. Then I did something I'd been holding back on for years. I exposed every lie Karen had ever told. See, I'd kept my mouth shut about a lot of things, but I had receipts. Karen had always told Alex's family that she'd been a successful real estate agent before Alex was born and had given up her career to be a stay-at-home mom. The truth? I'd found out years ago, accidentally, through an old friend of hers who didn't know it was a secret, that she'd been fired from her real estate job for forging a client's signature and had been lucky to avoid criminal charges. Karen told everyone she'd been scouted by a modeling agency in her 20s and had turned them down because she wanted a normal life. Alex had always been so proud of this. The truth? I'd seen her high school yearbook at her mother's house. Karen had been on the debate team and mathlete squad. No modeling. Nothing wrong with that, but she'd built this whole fake glamorous past. Karen claimed she'd graduated from a prestigious university with honors. I'd seen her actual community college diploma when helping her move boxes from her attic. She told people my family was difficult and that they'd been rude to her at our wedding. The truth? My mom had asked her politely to not wear a white dress to our wedding. Karen wore cream and told everyone my mother had attacked her for her outfit choice. She'd told Alex's family that I'd refused to let her in the delivery room when Lily was born, painting me as cruel. The truth? The hospital had COVID restrictions and only one support person was allowed. Alex chose to be there with me, obviously. Karen tried to get the nurses to let her in anyway and was asked to leave the hospital when she caused a scene. I documented everything over the years. Screenshots, photos, records. I never planned to use any of it. But she'd thrown away my daughter and was now lying to make me look like the villain. So I posted it all in the family group chat with evidence. I showed that she'd lied about her career, her education, her modeling story, all of it. I showed the messages where she'd said horrible things about Lily's death being for the best. I showed the text where she'd admitted to throwing away the ashes and said we were too attached to a dead baby. That last one did it. Alex's grandmother called Karen immediately and tore into her. Alex's uncle said he was ashamed to be related to her. His aunt said what Karen did was evil and unforgivable. Karen tried to defend herself, but she'd been caught in too many lies. The family turned on her completely. Update 4 months later. Some people have been asking for an update, and there's been some resolution. So here it is. The police investigation concluded. Karen was charged with unlawful disposal of human remains and criminal trespass. She hired a lawyer who tried to argue that she'd had permission to be in our home. We showed the text where we'd told her not to enter our house while we were gone, sent before we left for our trip. Her lawyer then tried to negotiate a plea deal. We refused. I wanted this on record. I wanted everyone to know what she'd done. The case went to court. Karen's lawyer argued that she'd been trying to help us through our grief and had made a mistake in judgment. The prosecutor pointed out that she'd admitted in text to knowing we didn't want the ashes moved, that she deliberately waited until we were out of town, and that she'd left a note bragging about it. The judge was not sympathetic. He said Karen had violated our trust, destroyed irreplaceable remains, and shown no genuine remorse. She was found guilty on both charges. She was sentenced to 12 months probation, 300 hours of community service, mandatory counseling, and she was ordered to pay us $15,000 in restitution for emotional distress. She was also given a restraining order. She can't come within 500 feet of us or our home. Karen violated the restraining order twice. First time, she showed up at Alex's workplace crying and begging to talk to him. Security removed her and Alex filed a police report. Second time, she waited outside our favorite restaurant. How she knew we'd be there, I don't know. We think she might be following us and tried to approach us in the parking lot. We called the police immediately and she was arrested. After the second violation, the judge was not amused. Her probation was revoked, and she spent 30 days in jail. When she got out, the restraining order was extended to 5 years, and she was told in no uncertain terms that another violation would result in actual prison time. That seems to have finally gotten through to her. We haven't heard from her or seen her in over 3 months now. Alex's father, they're divorced, have been since Alex was 12, has completely stepped up. He's been amazing. He and Alex have dinner once a week now, and he's become a real support system for both of us. He's expressed regret about not being more present when Alex was growing up, and they're rebuilding their relationship. Something positive came out of this nightmare. The restitution Karen was ordered to pay, she's been making the minimum payments. At the rate she's going, it'll take her 7 years to pay it off. We don't care about the money, we just wanted it on record what she'd done to us. Her social exile is complete. We ran into one of her former church friends at the grocery store, and the woman told us that Karen had tried to come back to church events and was asked to leave. She's apparently told people she's the victim of a conspiracy, that we somehow fabricated evidence against her. No one believes her. Alex's extended family has completely cut her off. His grandmother changed her will to remove Karen. She was supposed to inherit the family china and some jewelry. His aunt and uncle don't speak to her. She's alone now except for one friend who apparently still believes her sob stories. The community service Karen was sentenced to? She got assigned to work at a grief counseling center. The irony is not lost on anyone. She tried to get reassigned, saying it was cruel to make her work there. The judge said it was appropriate given her crime and denied the request. We've settled into our new house. It's beautiful and it's ours, and Karen doesn't know where it is. We have a nursery again because we're expecting. I'm 14 weeks pregnant and terrified, but also cautiously hopeful. This baby won't replace Lily. Nothing ever could, but we're ready to try again. We haven't told Alex's side of the family yet except his dad. We're waiting until after the 20-week scan. His dad cried when we told him. Happy tears. He's going to be at the hospital when this baby is born, and he's already bought a car seat for his house for when he babysits. Lily's memorial tree is thriving. We sit under it sometimes and tell her about her little sibling. I like to think she'd have been a good big sister. People ask if I feel bad about what happened to Karen. Honestly, no. She destroyed something irreplaceable out of spite and control, then lied about it to anyone who would listen. She earned every single consequence. Her life fell apart because of her own actions, not because of anything I did. I just exposed the truth. She built her reputation on lies, and when those lies got revealed, the reputation crumbled. That's on her. Alex says he feels lighter now, like he'd been carrying the weight of his mother's manipulation his whole life and didn't realize it. He says losing her was painful but necessary, like removing a tumor. His exact words, I lost my mother, but I gained freedom. His grandmother has been wonderful. She's knitting baby blankets and calls every week to check on me. She's apologized repeatedly for not seeing Karen's true nature sooner. We've told her she has nothing to apologize for. Karen fooled everyone. So that's where we are now. Karen is alone, paying restitution, doing community service at a grief center, and barred from contacting us for 5 years. We're in a new house, expecting a baby, and rebuilding our lives without her manipulation. Is it the ending Karen wanted? No, but it's the one she earned. And honestly, we're happier without her in our lives. We're grieving Lily, yes. We always will. But we're doing it in peace now, without Karen's interference and control. That's all the closure I needed. Final update, 11 months later. This is my last update because everything has reached complete resolution, and I want to close this chapter of our lives. Our son was born 5 months ago. He's healthy, perfect, and we're absolutely in love. We named him Ethan David. His middle name is after Alex's dad, who has been an incredible grandfather. We didn't tell Karen about the pregnancy, and we didn't tell her about Ethan's birth. She found out through the family grapevine about a month after he was born. She tried to send a gift through Alex's cousin. We returned it unopened. The restraining order is still in effect, and we're not interested in any contact. Karen finished her community service at the Grief Counseling Center. According to someone who works there, who told Alex's dad, who told us, she complained the entire time and showed no insight into why her assignment was appropriate. She apparently told people there that her son had stolen her grandchildren from her over a simple misunderstanding. Still no accountability. Still no genuine remorse. Her probation ended 4 months ago. She immediately tried to contact Alex through a letter sent to his workplace. In it, she said she'd served her time and that now we could move past this and be a family again. She said she wanted to meet her grandson and that she'd learned her lesson. Alex didn't respond. We gave the letter to our lawyer to document the attempted contact. While the restraining order is still in effect, any attempt to contact us is documented. Karen's life has not improved. She's still socially isolated. She lost most of her friends. Her church community still doesn't welcome her. She's apparently bitter and angry about it, still insisting she did nothing wrong. Alex's grandmother passed away 2 months ago. It was peaceful. She died in her sleep at 89. At her funeral, Karen showed up. She stood at the back and tried to approach Alex. He walked away. When she tried to follow, Alex's father and uncle physically blocked her path and told her to leave. She caused a scene, crying loudly about being excluded from her own mother-in-law's funeral. The funeral director asked her to leave. She refused. The police were called. She was removed from the funeral. She was not arrested because technically she hadn't violated the restraining order. The funeral was public, but it was humiliating for her. Alex's grandmother's will was read the following week. She left Alex a substantial inheritance, enough that we were able to pay off our house. She left Karen nothing. The will specifically stated, "I am deliberately making no provision for Karen, as I do not wish to support someone who showed such cruelty to my grandson and his wife during their time of grief." Karen is apparently threatening to contest the will. Her lawyer has told her she has no case. She wasn't entitled to anything. It was Alex's grandmother, not her mother. But she's trying anyway. We've made peace with everything that happened. Lily's memorial tree is now part of Ethan's life. We have a photo of her in Ethan's nursery. When he's old enough to understand, we'll tell him about his big sister who he never got to meet. We'll tell him she would have loved him. We're happy. Our little family, me, Alex, Ethan, and the memory of Lily, is complete. Alex's relationship with his father is strong. We have friends, family who support us, and a life free from Karen's manipulation. Karen will finish paying her restitution in 6 more years. She's working part-time at a retail store. Her social life is non-existent, and she's burned every bridge she had. She did this to herself by refusing to respect our boundaries, by destroying something irreplaceable, and then by lying about it and playing victim. She could have apologized genuinely at any point. She could have taken accountability. She could have worked to repair the relationship. She chose not to. She chose to double down, violate the restraining order, and continue to paint herself as the victim. So now she's alone. And we're thriving. Alex said something beautiful the other day. He was holding Ethan and looking at Lily's photo, and he said she's still here. Lily's still part of our family. Karen tried to erase her, but she couldn't. Lily's memory lives on and always will. He's right. Karen threw away physical ashes, but she couldn't destroy Lily's place in our hearts and our lives. She failed at what she set out to do, and she lost everything in the process. That's the real ending. Karen loses everything because of her own cruelty and manipulation. We lose Karen, but we gain peace, healing, and a future free from her toxicity. We're done with her. This chapter is closed. We're moving forward with our lives and our family, and Karen has no place in any of it. And that's exactly how it should be.